Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Ian, and today we're diving deep into the Canadian Pension Plan, or CPP. This is a cornerstone of Canadian retirement security, and understanding its history, how it's funded, and whether it can handle the massive wave of baby boomers coming into retirement. We'll look at the economic story behind its creation in 1965, the shifts in funding over the decades, its current setup, and the big question: will it survive the demographic crunch with fewer young workers entering the workforce? Let's get into it. First, let's go back to the origins. The CPP was born out of a push in the 1960s to build a more robust retirement system for Canadians. Prime Minister Lester B. Pearson's Liberal government introduced it in 1965, and it officially kicked in on January 1, 1966. At the time, Canada was dealing with post-war economic growth, but many older Canadians were struggling with poverty in retirement. The old age security program existed, but it was flat rate and means tested, not enough for everyone. So the CPP was designed as an earnings-related plan to partially replace income for workers and their families, covering retirement, disability, and survivor benefits. It was a joint federal-provincial effort, with Quebec opting for its own parallel Quebec Pension Plan, or QPP. Now, in those early days, the CPP operated mostly on pay-as-you-go basis. That means contributions from current workers and employees went straight to paying benefits for current retirees, with very little set aside in reserves. The initial contribution rate was 3.6% of earnings, split evenly at 1.8% each between employees and employers, or 3.6% for self-employed folks, applied to income between a basic exemption and a yearly maximum. Investments were limited to non-marketable government bonds, essentially lending money to federal and provincial governments at below market rates. Provinces could even borrow from the fund for their own needs, treating it like a cheap source of capital. This setup kept things simple at first and affordable short term, but it wasn't built for long-term pressures like an aging population. Fast forward to the 1990s and cracks started showing. Actuarial reports warned that without changes, the fund could be depleted by around 2015. Thanks to rising life expectations, lower birth rates, and the baby boomers nearing retirement. Contribution rates had crept up to 6% by 1997, but it was not enough. That's when major reforms hit in 1997. The federal and provincial governments hiked rates to 9.9% by 2003, still split equally, and shifted towards partial pre-funding. They created the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, or CPPIB, an independent body to manage and invest the reserve professionally, diversifying into stocks, real estate, infrastructure, and global assets. This hybrid model meant building a bigger reserve to cover future benefits, reducing reliance on just current contributions. Administration costs were cut and reviews became mandatory every 3 years to keep things on track. Then came another big update in 2017, with enhancements starting in 2019. The goal was to boost retirement income replacement from 25% to about 33% of pre-retirement earnings. To pay for it, contribution rose gradually, now at 5.95% each for employees and employers on the first earnings tier, up to the year's maximum pensionable earnings, or YMPE, which is around $68,500 in 2025. Plus, a second tier kicked in from 2024, adding 14% more to the YMPE ceiling, about $78,000 in 2025, and charging an extra 4% rate on that upper band. The enhancement is fully funded, meaning all new contributions go into a separate pot and vested for future benefits, while the base CPP runs on that steady state model with reserves covering fluctuations. Today, the CPP is funded by a mix of worker and employer contributions totaling up to 11.9% on the first tier and 8% on the second, plus investment returns from the massive fund managed by the CPPIB. As of March 31st, 2025, the fund sits at over $714 billion, with a 9.3% net return for the fiscal year. That's split about 92% for the base CPP and 8% for the enhancement. Investments are diversified, 64% in equities and 39% in debt, and spread globally, 47% in the US, 19% in Europe, and only 12% in Canada to reduce home country risk. Net contributions added $22 billion last year, but investment income is increasingly the driver, projected to cover more as the fund grows to $3.6 trillion by 2025. This pre-funding means that today's workers are building a buffer for tomorrow's retirees. Now, the million-dollar question, will the CPP survive the retiring baby boomers and the shrinking workforce due to fewer kids? The baby boom generation, born 1946 to 1964, is hitting retirement hard, with the active worker to retiree ratio dropping from over 5 to 1 in 1970 to about 2 to 1 today. Fewer young Canadians entering the job market means less contribution inflows relative to payouts. But here's the good news. Actuarial reports say yes, it's sustainable. The latest triennial review from the Office of the Chief Actuary, the 31st report as of 2021, projects the CPP can meet obligations for at least 75 years at current rates, even factoring in demographics like lower fertility and higher longevity. The 32nd report, covering up to December 2024, is in review now and is expected to confirm similar stability. How? Well, the 1997 reforms built that reserve fund, now covering years of benefits if contributions dip. Investment returns are expected to handle 80% of payouts by the 2040s, reducing pressure on workers. The enhancements add more contributions today for better benefits tomorrow, and immigration helps bolster the workforce. Sure, risks like economic downturns or lower returns exist, but mandatory reviews allow tweaks, like slight rate hikes or benefit adjustments if needed. Unlike the US Social Security facing cuts by 2034, Canada's model is proactive. It's not invincible, of course, but it's designed to weather this demographic storm. Tying this into real estate, retirees' housing trends are shifting dramatically because of these economic realities. With CPP providing a base, maximum of about $1,400 monthly at age 65 in 2025, many retirees rely on home equity for security. But here's the twist. Nearly 29% of Canadians retiring in 2025 or 2026 will carry mortgage debt, up from just 8% of the over 65 households in 1999. Affordability crises mean more are entering retirement with balances, often helping kids buy homes too. About half aren't downsizing right away, preferring to age in place in their family homes. But for those who do, 46% within 2 years of retiring, condos are the top choice at 43%, followed by smaller houses or rentals. Demand for senior housing is booming due to the aging boomers, with tight supply pushing up values and making it a hot investment sector. Experts predict seniors housing will outperform traditional real estate over the next decade, with record investments expected in 2025. Think retirement communities, assisted living. These are filling the gaps where CPP and savings fall short, especially in high-cost areas like Ontario and BC. From a real estate perspective, this means opportunities for sellers in suburban family homes as boomers downsize, but challenges for buyers facing competition in condo markets. If housing prices soften, as forecasts suggest a 2% drop nationally in 2025, it could ease entry for younger folks but dent retirees' nest eggs. Overall, the CPP's stability helps retirees afford housing options. But planning ahead, whether staying put or moving to specialized communities, is key. In wrapping up, the CPP has evolved from a simple pay-as-you-go system in 1965 to a robust investment-backed plan that's set up to handle the boomer retirement wave and beyond. It's a testament to Canadian foresight in economics and policy. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more on Canadian history, economics, and property trends. Thanks for watching. See you next time.